Good day, everyone. This is Dr. Soper here, and today I'll be presenting part 1 of a series of study guides entitled Common GRE Vocabulary Words for Game of Thrones Fans. These study guides review the most common vocabulary words that appear on the verbal section of the GRE exam. Research shows that the best way to remember new information is to link that information to something you already know. So studying these vocabulary words in the context of the people and events that appear in Game of Thrones should help you to better understand and remember those words on your exam day. Ready? Let's begin. Belligerent, adjective, hostile and aggressive. The Dothraki are a very confrontational and belligerent people. Impetuous, adjective, acting or done quickly and without thought or care. Whereas Tyrion prefers to think carefully about a situation, Bronn is often impetuous and prefers to rely on his instinct rather than his intellect. Garrulous, adjective, excessively talkative, especially on trivial matters. At many points during their journey north, Hot Pie becomes garrulous, and Arya and Gendry find his excessive talking to be annoying. Malign, adjective, evil in nature or effect, malevolent. The White Walkers have a malign nature and seem entirely focused on destroying the race of men. Engender, verb, to cause or give rise to a feeling, situation, or condition. Queen Marjorie showed kindness to many poor people in King's Landing in order to engender their respect and loyalty. Prudent, adjective, acting with or showing care and thought for the future. During the War of the Five Kings, Catelyn Stark was often worried about her son Robb because she felt that he was not making prudent decisions. Orthodox, adjective, conforming to what is generally or traditionally accepted as right or true, established and approved. Many people of the North continue to worship the old gods rather than following the more orthodox faith of the Seven. Lionize, verb, to give a lot of public attention and approval to someone, to treat as a celebrity. When King Robert Baratheon arrived at Winterfell, many of the people in the castle tended to lionize him. Disparate, adjective, essentially different in kind, not allowing comparison. The Hound and Brienne of Tarth are both interested in Arya Stark, but for very disparate reasons. Frivolous, adjective, not having any serious purpose or value. Although Sansa Stark enjoys dancing, singing, and sewing, her sister Arya feels that such activities are frivolous. Fortuitous, adjective, happening by accident or chance rather than design. Daenerys Targaryen never planned to be the mother of dragons, but the fortuitous gift of 3 dragon eggs changed her future forever. Didactic, adjective, intended to teach, particularly in having moral instruction as a motive. The text which forms the basis for the faith of the Seven is a didactic holy book known as the Seven-Pointed Star. Esoteric, adjective, intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest. Many of the books that Sam enjoyed reading while at Castle Black were far too esoteric to be understood by the other members of the Night's Watch. Prosaic, adjective, lacking poetic beauty, ordinary or commonplace. Bronn never had a formal education, and the way he speaks is therefore much more prosaic than Tyrion Lannister, who is highly educated. Vociferous, adjective, vehement or clamorous. When Stannis Baratheon attacked King's Landing, his men were very loud and vociferous in their efforts to knock down the gates of the city. Obsequious, adjective, obedient or attentive to an excessive or servile degree. When serving as Tyrion's squire, Podrick always behaves in a very obsequious and respectful way toward his master. Hackneyed, adjective, lacking significance through having been overused, unoriginal and trite. Tywin Lannister spoke so frequently to his children about the value and importance of protecting their family name that Jaime, Cersei, and Tyrion often found their father's speeches to be hackneyed. Imminent, adjective, impending, about to happen. The Night's Watch live in constant fear, believing that an attack on the wall by the White Walkers and the army of the dead is imminent. Pragmatic, adjective, dealing with things sensibly and realistically in a way that is based on practical rather than theoretical considerations. Tywin Lannister always makes pragmatic decisions in order to preserve the power and influence of his family. Recalcitrant, adjective, having an obstinately uncooperative attitude toward authority or discipline. Before having his head chopped off, Janos Slynt always displayed recalcitrant behavior toward Jon Snow. Plausible, adjective, seeming reasonable or probable. After being pushed from a window by Jaime Lannister and falling to the ground, it does not seem plausible that Brandon Stark will ever regain his ability to walk. Fractious, adjective, irritable and quarrelsome. Many of Walder Frey's children and grandchildren view him as a fractious old man and hope that he will die soon so that they can receive their inheritance. Arduous, adjective, involving or requiring strenuous effort, difficult and tiring. Climbing the wall was a very arduous task, and Ygritte and Jon Snow were therefore very tired when they reached the top. Ostentation, adjective, pretentious and vulgar display, especially of wealth and luxury, intended to impress or attract notice. Although Winterfell has simple architecture and only a few decorations, the decorations and architecture of the Red Keep in King's Landing are marked by ostentation and are obviously intended to project wealth and luxury. Docile, adjective, ready to be controlled or instructed, submissive. One of Ramsay Bolton's major goals in torturing Theon Greyjoy was to break Theon's spirit and turn him into a fearful and docile servant. Prevaricate, verb, to speak or act in an evasive way. When asked about his malicious activities, Littlefinger often likes to prevaricate in order to hide the true nature of his schemes. Laconic, adjective, using very few words. Sir Davos can be thought of as a laconic man because he rarely speaks unless he has something important to say. Enervate, verb, to cause someone to feel drained of energy or vitality, to weaken. Ygritte shot Jon Snow with 3 arrows, the result of which was to enervate him and slow his escape. Copious, adjective, abundant in supply or quantity. Both Tyrion and Cersei Lannister are heavy drinkers and regularly consume copious amounts of wine. Benign, adjective, gentle and kindly. The Stark children all remember Old Nan as a kindly, benign woman who used to tell them stories when they were growing up at Winterfell. Providential, adjective, occurring at a favorable time, opportune. The arrival of Stannis Baratheon's army north of the Wall was very providential for the Night's Watch, who otherwise may all have been killed by the wildlings. Insipid, adjective, lacking flavor, lacking vigor or interest. Jaime Lannister does not want to inherit his father's lands and titles because he believes that being Lord of Casterly Rock would be a dull and insipid life. Magnanimous, adjective, very generous or forgiving, especially toward a rival or someone less powerful than oneself. Although Sir Alliser and Jon Snow were rivals, Jon was nevertheless magnanimous toward Sir Alliser by appointing him First Ranger of the Night's Watch. Dogmatic, adjective, inclined to lay down principles as incontrovertibly true. The High Sparrow is always very dogmatic because he truly believes that he has been chosen to speak on behalf of the gods. Gainsay, verb, to deny, oppose, or contradict. Grand Maester Pycelle is always worried about protecting his position of power, and will therefore rarely gainsay any of the king's commands. Dispassionate, adjective, not influenced by strong emotion, and so able to be rational and impartial. Lady Olenna Tyrell is usually quite dispassionate, and this allows her to view the problems of the Seven Kingdoms rationally and logically. Prolific, adjective, present in large numbers or quantities, plentiful. Despite the prolific size of Stannis Baratheon's army, Tyrion's clever use of wildfire prevented Stannis from conquering King's Landing. Redundant, adjective, not or no longer needed or useful, superfluous. Samwell Tarly was sent to the Wall to join the Night's Watch because his father was ashamed of him, and since he had 2 sons, he felt that Sam was redundant. Taciturn, adjective, reserved or uncommunicative in speech, saying little. After her father was killed and Sansa Stark was ordered to marry Tyrion, she became very taciturn and preferred to spend time by herself rather than talking to others. Equivocate, verb, to use ambiguous language so as to conceal the truth or avoid committing oneself. Whenever Jon Snow wanted to know more about his mother, Ned Stark would always equivocate in order to avoid sharing too many details. Obdurate, adjective, stubbornly refusing to change one's opinion or course of action. Although Catelyn Stark tried to convince Ned not to go to King's Landing, he was obdurate and insisted that he must go to the capital and serve Robert as Hand of the King. Scrupulous, adjective, diligent, thorough, and extremely attentive to details. After Ned Stark's scrupulous and careful study of the lineages and histories of the great houses of the Seven Kingdoms, he finally discovered that Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen were not really King Robert's children. Inculpate, verb, to accuse or blame. When her son King Joffrey was poisoned, Cersei Lannister's anger and hatred caused her to inculpate her brother Tyrion. Profligate, adjective, recklessly extravagant or wasteful in the use of resources. King Robert always spent money in a very profligate way, and this caused the Seven Kingdoms to amass a huge debt to the Iron Bank of Braavos. Sporadic, adjective, occurring at irregular intervals or only in a few places, scattered or isolated. As time passed, the appearance of dragons became more and more sporadic in Westeros, until eventually they were believed to be extinct. Capricious, adjective, given to sudden and unaccountable changes of mood or behavior. Daenerys Targaryen's mood often changes quickly from being calm to being very angry, thus revealing the capricious side of her personality. Pithy, adjective, concise and to the point. Grey Worm does not know the common tongue very well, and as a result his comments are usually quite pithy when he speaks in that language. Mercurial, adjective, subject to sudden or unpredictable changes of mood or mind. From Tyrion's perspective, Shae was often mercurial because she would suddenly and unexpectedly become angry or upset when they were having a conversation. Extant, adjective, still in existence, surviving. Although King Robert wanted Ned Stark to rule as regent and protector of the realm, Cersei destroyed the only extant copy of the king's proclamation, after which she had Ned arrested and thrown into prison. Obscure, adjective, not discovered or known about, uncertain. Throughout most of the Game of Thrones series, the true origin of the White Walkers remains obscure. Well, my friends, thus ends part 1 of our series of study guides entitled Common GRE Vocabulary Words for Game of Thrones Fans. I hope that you learned something interesting in this lesson, and until next time, have a great day.